It's Mothgirl in the Harpy Den. No, not really. I'm about to do my first heroic on Mothgirl, and I thought I'd bring all of you along for the ride. So, random heroic. You know, that was a random heroic, and look what comes up. This is going to make a lot of you quite happy. I am going to speed a few parts of this video up, as I usually do, and I know a lot of you probably don't even want to see this kind of thing because, I mean, thinking about it, this is really old. People can do this quite easily nowadays, and I mean, yeah, Cataclysm has been out for a while, okay, that's a fact. But a lot of you were asking for some Mothgirl, and it doesn't take me that long to get an episode done. It's just a little bit of editing and stuff, and you know, I thought I'd do it because, sure, I have been a little bit bored of WoW recently, but at the same time, I mean, I did enjoy the heroic, and it was nice doing my first one ever. And I feel that, you know, it's something that I have to at least try out, especially before these other two heroics, the two Zuls, come out. So if you don't want to watch these, don't watch them. If you do, check them out. So we're starting this off, and one of the first things that I realized is you have to crowd control those Earth Shapers, because they do in fact do a lot of damage if they're not crowd controlled. We had a pretty decent hunter for the first half of this instance. I think he left a bit later. Not going to tell you why, but anyway, you can crowd control the Earth Shapers. It just makes things a lot easier. Overall, the rest of the stuff, especially as a tank, it's not that hard. Obviously the bosses are a bit harder, but the trash tends to be quite easy, and you can actually skip quite a bit of it. I did do Stonecore before, and you probably all saw that video, so you know the basics of it. And in Heroic, I think most of the stuff that we do here is pretty much the same. Every boss has maybe one or two little extra things that's been added on, but the general mechanics of the fights are the same. They just do either a lot more damage, they last longer, or they're more critical to actually avoid. So, you know, that said, I think it's definitely more difficult in Heroic, and if you don't gear up, things are obviously going to be even more difficult. And here we pulled a bunch of normal mobs together with the others. Not really a big deal. You can see I'm not really taking that much damage. I'm pretty much okay here. I use a lot of bark skin because I feel a 1 minute cooldown is not really that crazy. I can use it all the time without any problems. I didn't use my other cooldowns as often as I should have, I feel. I really think I could have used my Berserk a bit more, survival instincts, stuff like that, because, I mean, really, it doesn't really help if it's off cooldown the whole time, and obviously I should just time it that I can at least have it up for the boss. And even on the boss fight, I didn't really even use it. We did have a pretty good healer, and I think if you have a really good healer that's pretty well geared, then the run is just a lot quicker. This was actually my girlfriend that was helping heal here, and she's pretty much maxed out on the raid gear, so she didn't really have that much of a problem healing here. Obviously, no matter how good your gear is, you actually need to know how to do the fights and stuff, so just having a bunch of gear is not that great. So talking about gear here, I actually bought my... Oh, Nero is going crazy again. Anyway, talking about gear here, I actually bought myself a couple of epics because I have a ton of gold that I'm just not getting to spend in, and it's just sitting there. So I got Assassin's chest piece, I got a belt, I'm not sure what it's called, and I got boots, but the boots were actually given to me by my girlfriend. So I've got some decent gear. I think I only got 1 green or 2 greens at the moment. The rest are pretty good. I think my item level is 335, somewhere around there. But here we go. Time for the first boss. So you all know this boss, this silly old worm, and the strats, as I said, are pretty much the same. They just do a lot more damage in this one. So the main thing you have to watch out for here is when he actually submerges and he starts making this big wave of smoke. You just have to move away from it because that's where he's going to leap up and do damage. But that's not where I actually had a problem. I've got deadly boss mods at the moment, so which is a bit different. I didn't have that before, but that'll tell me exactly when he goes underground and exactly when he's going to do the stuff that he does. It doesn't have a timer on those crystal barrages, but it does. I mean, you should be able to see them, and that's actually what I didn't do. I didn't see them, and it's a bit of a joke actually. You'll see in just a couple of seconds. So he goes underground, and you just got to run around, and then I don't think you really need to tank these ads. From a tank's point of view, it's not that difficult picking up a couple of them if you can. Obviously, try keep them off the healer. And I was nearly getting cornered here by this silly worm. He was getting very close to dealing damage to me there, but I think I avoided it. And again, you can just try keep these mobs on you. I mean, you can taunt, you can fairy fire, and just get some AoE damage in there. And when he comes up, you just got to be ready again. And when he casts the crystal barrage, that's obviously where things get a little bit difficult. If you can do some damage to it with your AoE, say with your swipe or thrash or things like that, then do it. but don't risk standing too close to those crystal shards, because when you stand too close to them they do a ton of damage, and you'll see that in just a second. I thought that he was actually, I thought these were different ads, and I wasn't really paying attention here, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go in there and taunt them, and then I AoE taunted them, and then they all attacked me, and needless to say, I did die. That wasn't a really good idea, and that just shows that I should have ran away there. I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't really know that they'd actually move. As far as I remember, in the normal version, the crystal shards just get shot on the ground, and they don't actually spawn into ads and follow you around. So, a little bit different there, but we did manage to kill the boss. It was very close to dead before that happened, so not a big deal at all. And again, I was really unlucky with the loot here. I think I got one item all the way at the end of the instance. Otherwise, it was just a bunch of warrior gear dropping, strength and stamina, which I really don't want, and didn't really help me out very much. But otherwise, I mean, the gear and stuff, it's a pretty decent improvement. What I got from, I think it was the third boss, is an item that was the same as the one I've got, just the heroic version of it, and it was a lot better. It actually had quite a few more stats, I think about 20 on each stat more, so it's a definite upgrade, that's for sure. And as I said before, our group here was pretty decent, so I thought this was a pretty okay run for my first heroic ever. Well, not ever, I did heroics before, but my first Cataclysm heroic. So with these crystal spawn giants, again, it's a pretty interesting mechanic. When it casts this quake spell, you just have to keep jumping, so you smack in spacebar the whole time. I don't think I got hit by it once. I was just jumping all the time anyway to make sure. I don't even know why. I mean, I think if you've got a lot of delay or lag or even incredibly high latency, you probably have problems with that, but I seem to handle it okay. I mean, given my latency, it was actually probably, I'd say about 300, 400 ping at the time, so not too bad. With these flayers, again, the same as the normal, you just stand behind them, move out of the way when they start swinging like crazy. I feel that this is probably one of the more difficult heroics. I mean, I was told by many people that this is the one I have to do first because they just wanted to see me fail on it, and I did. We wiped twice on the third boss, and, well, actually only one real wipe, and then the second time the tank just well, the warrior in our group just picked it up. So it wasn't too tragic, but I did in fact fail twice. So you're gonna see that in just a couple of minutes. I didn't edit any of it out. I didn't want to cover any of it up because that's how it goes, and I think it's better if you just see the real run. No, this is not a guide. This is by no means the best way of doing it or anything like that. Sure, I can tell you a few things that I realized when doing it as a tank, but it's still not the best way of of looking at it. I'm sure there are better guides out there. But anyway, I tested on one of these flayers just by standing in front of it and seeing if it actually does a lot of damage to me, and it doesn't really. So I don't know, I've only got about 140, 150k HP, I think with all the buffs on 160, but it doesn't really do that much damage. So here we go, we're heading into the next boss phase, and I'm pretty sure all of you know this and remember this. This is probably one of the easiest parts, and I think one of the easiest bosses in the instance, because it's just a bunch of like mobility tricks that you need to do. You gotta stand, you gotta run away from black dots on the floor, you gotta make sure that rocks don't fall on you, and you gotta run behind these stone pillars when the boss does a AoE. So I was actually close to failing on this, and right here I was actually wondering, like, why is the boss not coming? When is he gonna come? Should we run ahead? Should we wait? But I was quickly told just to wait, and the boss will indeed come. I thought it was quite weird that there's such a delay here. But anyway, probably just to make sure that everyone gets here, everyone in your group. I have damage meters on here, and it's quite interesting to see that for the first time actually, this is not obviously the first time I do a heroic, but for the first time I wasn't on top with the damage done. In normal dungeons I was actually quite high. I was probably like at least 10% higher than everyone else on the list, and that's definitely changed in heroics. You can see everything just gets ramped up a notch. And so when he goes into the air phase, you can see exactly what needs to be done here. Just run away from the rocks that are falling and you'll be okay. Otherwise, it looks to me like from the last time when I did this, which was quite a while ago, it was a couple of months ago actually, they changed the animations a little bit, so the fire is actually a lot more visible now. It used to just be this orangey swirl on the ground, and you couldn't really see it very easily. I don't know if it changed, but it looks a bit easier to spot. And there you go, Crystal Storm. You just get out of the way, behind a rock. Our mage, I think it was, one of our characters here was actually getting hit a lot. He didn't get out of the way at all, but it doesn't seem to have made a big difference. And again, our hunter's actually got his pet standing in the fire. things got a bit crazy in this phase of the fight because there was a lot of fire on the ground and you sort of run out of places to go, especially when he starts throwing the rocks around again, which is going to be in 7 seconds, 6 now. So it's something that you got to obviously watch out for. Try set it up that you can get the fire in places that you can actually avoid. But again, this whole boss fight to me wasn't really very heroic. I feel that the next fight is obviously one of the more difficult ones, and one that I definitely struggled on. So if any of you guys have any suggestions for heroics that you'd like to see, or, I mean, I actually sort of discussed this and I thought about doing it, but I wasn't really sure. But I can check out Zulaman and Zul'Gurub on the PTR. The only problem with doing that would be, as far as I know, the boss fights and stuff are complete. Most of the NPCs and mobs are in there. I'm not sure if they've implemented any quests yet. I don't know if the whole Stranglethorn Vale quest line is in yet. But as far as I can tell, and now again, I'm not sure, I haven't looked on the PTR yet, there's no loot tables for the bosses yet, so you can't really pick up any loot from them yet. And that to me is a bit of a deal breaker. I mean, I'd like to have the entire instance complete before I run it, because if it isn't complete, then I'd have to just do it again when it goes on live, or when it's actually complete on the PTR. So I might just wait a little bit. You can let me know what you think. If you'd like to see it in its current state, I can probably do that without too much effort. I just need to set a character up there that sort of resembles Mothgirl. And in this area, let me just say that quickly again, so I can actually tell you what's going on. Firstly, our party member leaves, and how fun is that? And I thought I had to just check out these little shale hatchlings because they're incredibly cute. But you just got to kill these sentries as fast as you possibly can. And as I said, we had a nice hunter in our party, so that was just a lot easier. I'm not sure why hunters go for that pet. As you can see, he's got that silly pet from Hellfire Ramparts, and it looks like a mount. Maybe he's got the same mount, so it looks like he's riding his pet, which I suppose is cool, but I don't know, I just don't see the attraction there. And now I've totally forgotten what I was talking about, but hey, that's okay. That is definitely okay. So with these groups, again, the same thing. You want to try keep the conjurers from conjuring too much, from summoning too much. And generally, groups try go through the middle of this area. I remember that from the normal dungeon, and it's sort of the same here. You want to avoid the sides, and that means you don't want to backpedal too much because you're obviously not looking behind you. You don't want to strafe around too much, just stay on the mobs that you fight in. I know a lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. They want to try look flashy when they're running around. That's something I can rant about for a long time, because if you actually PvP and you're playing against a rogue or something, and then they do this elaborate run across you over and over and over again thing, it doesn't work. It doesn't help. It doesn't help you in the least, because you actually wasting time. Time that you could spend attacking the person that you're actually trying to attack. That don't even get me started on that. And then there's these people that have the incredibly high latency. So I mean, I've actually read about a lot of that. And you just press a little button, and then it limits your connection, and then you have high latency for a little while, and then you're busy jumping around on your opponent's screen. So he can't click on you, he can't select you, he can't get any spells off on you, especially if you're a melee character. And yes, that's again just me ranting about that, why I hate the PvP so much. But anyway, I do enjoy PvP. I don't hate it. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I just don't like rogues. But hey, being a feral druid, it's actually nearly the same kind of thing, just a little less stun lock. So again, our hunter taking the lead here. That camouflage that he's got on looks really cool. I'm not quite sure what the point is. I mean, I know it reduces incoming range damage, stuff like that, but the graphic and stuff doesn't really hide you. Obviously, players can still see your nameplate, stuff like that, and taking away that would obviously just be abuse and imbalance, so they're not going to do that anytime soon. But these groups, again, same thing. Keep the conjurer crowd controlled, and then just move along. And watch out for that big ogre thing. The ogres, they're not too difficult to take out. They throw you around a lot, so you just have to be slightly careful when you fight them. You gotta sort of control the area that you fight in. When we run for this next one, we actually fight him right there where he's standing, so we can pull him into the corner, and oh, there's the boss. There's the boss. But these bruisers, you just pull them into the corner because they're going to jump around at your party members and attack them, and they're going to throw you around. So if you fight them in the middle of the room, things might get a little messy. Again, that's just a few things that I've picked up from what I've done here. I don't think we've ever wiped on this in the normal runs, but I can see that pulling an extra group in heroic would definitely be bad. But here we go, the boss, Ozruk, the tank killer. This is a terrible fight for me, and I did very terrible on it. Just keep in mind, this is my, I think, the second or third time I'm actually here, and only my first time in heroic, obviously. So what happened in the first time I went was I couldn't remember what the skills names were. We just wanted to clear this party, this group out here first, just in case. But what happened the first time we went for the boss was none of us, or neither of us, myself or my girlfriend, knew about the skills anymore. Like, she doesn't do this very often anymore. She just raids now. And I obviously hadn't been here for a long time, so we couldn't remember which one was which, Shatter and Ground Slam. And I suppose it makes a bit of sense if you just think about it, but we obviously didn't. And hidden into it, I didn't know which was which. So then something happened, and then I started running away, and it was actually the wrong skill, and then he just killed me one time. So that was really, really bad. You're gonna see that right now, and that's obviously gonna be a wipe. I mean, you can obviously expect that. If you make one little mistake on this boss, you're gonna die as a tank. So I waited for my enrage to come up, and then I charged him. Now have a look how this plays out. Okay, so when he casts Elementium Bulwark, you just gotta put a dot on him so that when he does stun you, then you'll be okay. So Ground Slam happens, I run away, and then bam! I get owned by those spikes. And you can see that was just me straight up mixing the two skills up. Because I see when he does the other skill, he actually... there's a little mark now on the ground that tells you how far you have to run away. And I feel that when I died here, I was actually okay. I was actually out, but then again, there's a bit of delay, so we got to deal with that. We got to keep that in mind, and you got to run a little bit further, a little bit sooner. You got to get out of the way a bit quicker, and I obviously didn't do that. So I actually thought, okay, maybe we'll make this. Perhaps, could we? Is it possible? But no, it just wasn't meant to be. So I decided to release and fool around a bit while in ghost form, because I actually didn't know where the entrance was. I've never wiped in Stonecore before, believe it or not. That's not something you hear every day, but I suppose it's not a dungeon I do every day. So I was really sad about getting this as my first heroic. Then again, I mean, it's actually not too long a dungeon. I think this entire video will probably be about 20 minutes long, a little bit longer maybe, but it's not that bad. I think other dungeons might have taken a lot longer, so I'm pretty happy for this. So going into round 2 of this boss fight, our second try, yes, I just wanted to remember a few things that when he does Shatter, when he casts Shatter, then you'll see a circle on the ground showing you the range, showing you where you need to run to be able to survive. So I know that now, yes. Secondly, when he does the Ground Slam, it shoots ahead of him. He starts casting it, he doesn't turn around. These are things that I just totally forgot from the normal dungeon. You do this in normal, and obviously it does less damage, it doesn't one-shot you, but it's things that you should remember. So I was also told here by my girlfriend that I must tank him facing the 2 walls, so away from the party, because obviously the party will be killed by that as well, by the Ground Slam. So I'm gonna run in, I'm gonna tank him, face him towards the 1 wall, and then the absolute easiest way of just avoiding the Ground Slam is just to run straight through him. And I didn't know that, and I didn't do it right a few times because I get totally confused with all the stuff I have to do, and I suppose that happens playing WoW for the first time properly in a couple of months. But here we go, round 2 against Ozruk. Yes, everyone is indeed ready. So, good start, I'm facing him the right direction, not bad at all. Casts Elementium Bulwark, I put a Lacerate on him, and I cast a Thrash on him just to make sure. Ground Slam, first try was perfect. I run through him, he casts it against the other wall, and now I'm keeping him in the right direction. That's all good. But Shatter soon. Okay, so I run away and I make it just in time. No damage taken there. Not bad again. Again, Elementium Bulwark, so I cast Lacerate on him once again. I also think I get Thrash off on him. And now Ground Slam. I was not paying attention at all. I do in fact get hit by it, but then by some miracle, I actually live. I survived, but then the Shatter... Look at that. I'm actually out of the Shatter. I make it. That's amazing. I didn't expect that at all. And that's probably just because I was out of position there from the previous one, from the previous Ground Slam. So again, I got it right. Lucky, lucky, lucky. And things are going well. I thought, okay, we might actually make this, but it wasn't fated. I didn't make it out of this last Shatter. And I don't know. I feel that I could have made it there. I feel that that wasn't too bad, and I feel that because of the lag I actually didn't make it. And then here I was just confused. I thought, okay, I'm going to run to the side, and then that didn't work. It seems like Ground Slam has an absolutely huge AoE. So there's a tip from me to all the tanks out there. Just watch out, because you gotta just keep the boss in that one position and you gotta run through him, up and down through him, face him towards the wall the whole time. That'll save you a lot of effort, that'll save your party a lot of effort, and that means you'll actually make it. You'll actually be able to survive. So our tank did in fact kill this boss, and you know, I was quite happy for that. I didn't really want to do it again, but you can see a few things that I did wrong there that you can definitely do right. Sure, if you don't have as much delay as me, things might be a little bit easier, but at the same time, those are things that I could have avoided if I was a little bit quicker and if I just sort of paid attention to what was going on. And then there you go, he dies. Yes, that is some good satisfaction. And yes, Ozruk is obviously not too happy about that. So there you can look at the new item that I pick up. Actually, 30 more agility and a good amount, 60 more stamina. So it's a definite upgrade for me, and it's great to see that the heroic items are that much better. Quite a big upgrade. Our mage was actually saying sorry about the mechanic that he didn't understand. He says he was messing it up too. What it seems to be happening was he was actually spell stealing the shield that was on the boss, so that meant that we couldn't get our dots on the boss, and we thereby got stunned. So there's me just spamming mining on him. I don't have 530 mining. That's not gonna happen. But yes, that's that boss. That's Ozruk out of the way, and that's probably the one that you all wanted to see. So a lot of you are probably going to be closing the video right now. But no, the last boss is pretty cool too. And again, we lost a member, so the second he comes back, we're gonna head on out there. And as I said, I might do a few more of these. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see more of them. And I wouldn't mind. Okay, so I actually enjoyed doing this, and I wouldn't mind getting back into WoW a little bit. Not too much, because I got a lot of other stuff to do and play. But yeah, it could be cool. And this little area here, again, same as what it was in normal. Just keep running through all these mobs, pull all of them. They do very, very little damage. And we decided we'd just avoid the bruiser. We just keep running around and watch which way he went, and then just go around the back of him. Not too difficult, and definitely worth doing, because skipping any elites, I'd go out of my way to skip elites, definitely, definitely. I'm one of those people that'll try everything to just skip a couple of mobs in an instance, and I know that's probably not the best thing, but that's just how it is. The last boss. It's actually exactly the same as far as I can tell. There's no change in heroic. She does a bit of a knockback. I'm not sure if that's there in normal and heroic, but it feels to me like it is exactly the same. You can just AoE all these groups down, no fear of pulling the boss, and it seems like a few of the people here actually didn't know what was going on. And as far as I can tell, when we fought this boss now, it actually bugged out a little bit. There was this rock just floating around there, looming, haunting us, making sure that we just stayed on edge the entire fight long, because we weren't sure if it was going to come flying in at us and kill us at any second. It just didn't happen though. You'll see in just a second. You'll see. Okay, so High Priestess Azul.
The world will be reborn in flames!
Yes, it will. It will indeed. So again, as a tank, this is pretty straightforward, and there are a few tricks that you can do here. I realized that from just, I don't know, from just doing the fight, actually. You can kite the mobs that come into these little voids on the ground. There's a force grip here that you can interrupt, and I think our other characters in the group did that perfectly. When the followers run into those voids, they get killed, they get sucked in and killed, and I was trying to pull them in here. I was trying quite hard, but it seems like it just wasn't fated. And again, the kind of skills and stuff that I use here, I actually used Berserk right at the start of the fight, but I just spam Mangle, Maul, Thrash, and I even use Swipe a lot because, you know, why not? And then when I'm on a boss, I also just put 3 stacks of Lacerate on and leave them on there for a while. So when these 3 rocks come up, you probably all know this once again, but you've got to dodge them. There's no real indication of where they're going to go. You can't really tell which way they're going to go, but, I mean, I think you get fair warning. I'm not sure what happens if it explodes up in the air, but that seemed to happen. So the rock didn't really hit the ground, so there was nothing to really dodge. Now, when we engaged the fight again, there was this one rock that was just bugging out. You can see it on the back of my screen there. Look, it was just hanging around, and it was always sitting at the back of my vision. I'm not sure what it was trying to do. It was just taunting me. It was just trying to confuse me, and it was saying like, "Ha, this tank is here for the first time. Let's confuse him. Let's throw him totally off." And I was watching this rock. It was just standing there. Look at that. It was just hanging out in the sky and doing absolutely nothing. So weird. I'm not sure if that's happened to you before, but incredibly weird. I actually did interrupt the force grips a couple of times with my skull bash, and I feel pretty good about that. I do indeed. So there, that wasn't so hard, was it? The boss dies, and heroic Stonecore achievement. I'm not faking it, guys. This was in fact the first time that I was here.
Now yours to bear.
I'm not going to bear any burdens, but I will take your loot. Actually, I won't take any loot because there was absolutely nothing for me there. The life of a druid. Oh well. So that's it for the heroic Stonecore. I was quite surprised by the fact that I could actually do it. I mean, I know that Blizzard nerfed these dungeons quite a bit. They've changed a few things. They've made it slightly more noob friendly, Mothgirl friendly, we can call it that. But I enjoyed it, and if you guys enjoy these videos, I will get a couple more of them out there. I mean, I've told you many times that there's only so much WoW stuff that I can do. But hey, if you want to see these, then I will put them out there, because you are obviously the most important people. So that's about it, and I hope you enjoyed this better late than never episode of Mothgirl. Thanks for watching.